to the banks of the River Tyne. There's lights that burn so brightly, in the northeast sky they shine, from the place that Geordies worship, where legends wear number 9. You can travel right round the world, even meet the Pope in Rome, but nothing beats the feeling of when you come back here to home. No matter how life changes, we'll never be far apart. The northeast always home, and it's always in your heart. Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine.
Good afternoon, welcome to It's All Black and White TV, and this is the transfer show, and I'm joined by Roly. How are you, Roly?
I'm feeling positively Champions League.
Nice one, nice one. Guys and girls, if you do like what you see, please do smash that like. It helps keep the channel towards the top of the search. It means people find it more easily. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, come and smash the subscribe. Come and join this great community where you have here, and that bell notification will tell you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming shows. If you want to become a member, 99p a month, just click the join button. And also, if you want to make a donation, you can do that via the chat, where you can hit the $ on the super chat, super thanks, super sticker option as well. Sorry about the lateness getting on. I had a technical difficulty, but it's all sorted now. I think it's because of the rain out. It's absolutely chucked it down all day. It's been awful. And finally, the Ashes is back underway as well.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get into some comments first of all. Actually, first of all, before we get into the comments, look, just touching base on someone from the chat the other night, and we all know who it is, by the way. Trying to dictate about image rights. Let's get image rights clearing out the way first of all. At the end of the day, if somebody used my profile picture, at the end of the day, that. Yes, it's not nice to see somebody use it, but at the end of the day, it's not illegal. Because one, have I copyrighted my image for somebody not to use? No. So if there's no copyright law in place for that image, then nothing can be said. If you're using an image which is copyrighted, then the owner of that image can actually say, well, actually, you're using my image and, I'm going to sue you for using it. And that's fair enough, they can do. And I know a lot of our shows use all different images and, but people aren't as petty as that. But the thing is, though, that's all I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, it's actually not illegal if you're using an image. I mean, look, we see plenty of people using the Newcastle badges. Do you see Newcastle United go to these people and say, oh, you can't do that? No, you don't. So, at the end of the day, if somebody tries to threaten you with action, just ask them, have they got copyright? Are they copyrighted first? If they're not, then they ain't got a leg to stand on, unfortunately, on that one. And thank you to people for supporting me in this as well. And actually one of the guys who was in the chat last night from the channel actually went onto his channel and actually told him I did say hello to him the other night. So again, and he didn't answer him, so I'm surprised at that one. Well, not surprised. Hi, Tony says, Trolls. Good afternoon, Trolls.
Afternoon.
Niall says, good afternoon, Tony and guests. Good afternoon, Niall. Hope you're well.
No.
Bia Vaken. Good afternoon, Tony and Uncle Roly. Good afternoon, Bia. Hope you're well, mate. Craig, good afternoon to you, mate. He says, time to move on from Livramento. Southampton refusing 30 million. Yeah, we're going to get onto that in a moment. Livramento starting for the Saints today, says Via. Good afternoon, all, says Paul. Good afternoon, Paul. Craig says, Southampton are playing hardball. It's 30 million too much. Again, we're going to come on to that. Joel says, hi, Roly.
Hi, Trolls.
Craig says, there is better for cheaper.
Oh, I don't know.
Craig says, I'm flicking between F1, qualifying and the Ashes while listening to the show. Yeah, I've got the Ashes on, so that's where I'm sat where I am, so I can keep an eye on the TV as well. Yeah, hopefully England will win this and take it to the Oval.
Yeah, that'd be good, that.
Afternoon, all. You should be in Philly, Tony, running up there in the rocky steps. Forget about the tosser. Wasting your time. Oh, I'm not worried about. He doesn't worry me. He doesn't bother me one little bit. he reported me to YouTube because he said I didn't take notice of it in the chat and everything, and I was allowing it on the channel. YouTube have come back and said I've done no wrong. So at the end of the day, I've done no wrong. YouTube have acknowledged that. So, whatever he's trying to do, he needs to just get on with his own channel, basically. Z person has had a Newcastle tattoo without the right. Absolutely. Exactly. Andrew says they might want the image to keep the kids off the fireplace. What's for the early show, Tony? I just joined. Early show is I normally do an afternoon one on a Saturday. So I just, yeah. He's unproven, massive risk with that injury, says Craig.
I don't say we'll get into that later, but I don't think he's unproven.
Danielle asked their school hold start. So that means the end of the nice summer weather. The school holidays. Yeah, absolutely. Daniela, yeah. Tony, did you see what David Ornstein's just said about ASM? I haven't tuned on me, but enlighten me or I'll have a look and find out. Yeah, that's the end of the summer weather. John says, afternoon, everyone. Hope you're well too, John, mate. Jake says, the Ashes is ours. We gave them the first 2 tests. Too many drop balls and not stamping out an authority on them. Lads, no, it's theirs for the taking now. Do you know what it is? Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is, right? The Ashes series. I mean, at Lords, England should have won that game. And there was too many mistakes in that game. But, the thing is, Stokesy is a very good player, by the way, and not just a very good player, but a captain as well. And to be honest with you, I've known Stokes coming through the youth team at Durham because I used to be a members holder at Durham. So I used to buy a membership year in, year out. It's a bit like a season ticket. And so I know Stokesy coming through the ranks there at Durham, and knew at a young age he was going to be a great player. I know Collingwood, I know Steve Harmison. I've sat with him, I've sat with his brothers, Ben Harmison as well. Great lads at Durham, they really are. It says afternoon, Livramento definitely not worth more than 30 million. Again, we're going to get into that. Andrew is a good player and will get better paid, in my opinion. Forget it, Saturday, got him from work. Yeah, no problem, mate. Hi, Peter. Craig says, unproven with the injury, not his skill. Yeah. Troll says, Premier League clubs complain about the Saudi clubs buying ESM. Right.
Yeah. I've actually found the tweet. If you saying a number of clubs will voice concern to the Premier League on the proposed Saint-Maximin move to Al Ahly, or wherever it is. They say Newcastle using PIF dual ownership to inflate fee and help FFP. Want Premier League to explain market value process. And I see are very comfortable with the valuation. Well, there's no fair market value in player transfers.
No.
One club will see a player worth one value, another will see another, and they negotiate, and then they get a value that everybody's happy with. There's no
absolutely.
They're saying that. I mean, I'm not sure what the final deal for ASM is. I think it's 30 million all in.
It's 35 million including add-ons.
Yeah, and people are saying that's too much. I mean, I can't understand that.
No, I can't.
Because you look at some of the other deals that have gone through, and you think, well, you look at Mason Mount, or was it 60 million?
Yeah.
And you're comparing him to Tonali at 55?
Mm-hmm.
It's just saltiness again.
Yeah, absolutely, Roly. And there's the SM there. I think it's a fair value. I mean, look, if we were selling them for 80 million quid, then yes, that's definitely maybe looks a bit dodgy. But 35 million, I don't think that's dodgy at all. Right. Let's talk.
Just because people in England don't want to pay 35 million for him doesn't mean somewhere else does.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's talk Livramento. Right, Livramento, there he is on screen. Look, we've offered up to 30 million for him. We know Chelsea have got this 30% add-on, a sell-on clause, which is a bit of a pain in the backside, really. The reports are and this is according to Pete Graves from Sky. There's still a bit of work to do on this deal. Newcastle are going to go back in with a bid of 32 million to see if that'll tempt Southampton. Yes, he's a good player. He's up and coming. He's 20 years of age. You know, he's got room to grow and he's going to get better and he's nowhere near his peak. Yes, he had the bad injury. One, you've got to make sure that injury's fine and he's over that injury completely, which that will show in the medical. If it shows up in the medical, then obviously that'll be cancelled and he won't move. If there's anything wrong with his medical. But at the end of the day, if we go in with 32 million and that's accepted, then okay, that's fair enough. We'll say, yeah, fair enough. But if at 32 million they decide to say, nope, we want more, I think they need to walk away. You know, in all honesty, because you don't want to get into a bidding war where you're paying far too much for this guy when you could probably get Kieran Tierney for around about that price anyway. So, you know, who's a more proven? I know he's a left back, Kieran Tierney, but he's more proven. We've got Ashby. Yes, we know Ashby wants to go on loan and get games, but we could keep Ashby. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. So again, we'll just see what develops on this transfer. Before I come to Roly, I'll just go into some comments as well. 30 million maximum, though, says Andrew. Toonami says, number of clubs have gone on to the Premier over selling the SM. Well, yeah, but I mean, what if they come in for ASM? They would probably get told 30, 35 million, so I don't see what the problem is. Pay what though, Andrew? Yeah.
That's all I say to them is go cry me a river.
Value is subjective. I think ESM is a £50 million player, says Beer. Neves went for more than anyone would pay for him.
Yeah.
Andrew says it's got balls and all to do with the other club who we sell to. It's got nothing to do. It's got balls all to do with the other clubs who we sell, i.e. Henderson. Yeah, absolutely. Henderson. Yeah, definitely. Let's ask for the fair market value for Fraser and Hendricks, says Beer. John says they just look at anything to mourn about us, the media. Yeah, absolutely. Sai says if Southampton reject the third bid for Livramento, we should turn our attention to Lewis Hall. We'll come on to him later. They knocked back 30 million, Andrew. I wouldn't pay 50 million for a twinkle towards sick note, says Andrew. I'd walk away. Did any of you order the third kit? I haven't yet, Pete, but I am going to be ordering that, mate. Yeah, definitely. Have you got? I know you've ordered yours. John says it's a fair price, absolutely. Toonami says, let me guess, Villa, Spurs, Man U at Chelsea went to the Prem. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Troll says, what thing with ESM is just the Prem clubs trying to stop us from getting players to grow and grow? Absolutely. Yeah. I can see Livramento playing further up the pitch in the future. Boy has undoubted talent, but is our transfer budget big enough to spend 30 million on a position that isn't a priority? That's another thing as well. So again, we'll have to see. Daniela says, I think some of these players' wives, girlfriends and partners will soon be running back the EU when they realise life is not all that in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, maybe. It depends if they settle, that's the thing. Craig says, Chelsea didn't seem to have a problem selling to Saudi. No. And they let players go to Strasbourg as well. Toon says, it's okay when other clubs have a multi-club model, or let's look at Man City, remember?
And Chelsea.
Remember Lampard went from Chelsea to New York City and Man City took him on loan to help them win the Premier League. But did anybody see anything back then when Man City done that? No, of course they didn't, you know. Has anybody seen anything about Chelsea buying these Brazilians and sending them on loan to Strasbourg? No, of course they're not. They're not going to say nothing against Chelsea and Man City, you know. They just don't want to succeed. That is the problem.
Yeah. People don't like change. People don't like change, and they're used to the established order of Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea vying for the title. We've bucked the system, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
There's two things they can do about that: nothing and like it.
The thing is, as Paul says there, when FFP came in, why didn't they cut the maximum fee anyone could pay to a player? And then it would boil down to wages. Yeah, I totally agree. Who knows what we have to spend? It goes up and down more than a prostitute's neck, as does John. Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know how much they've got to spend. That's the thing. Everybody is just speculating at the end of the day. Nobody knows. The only people who know how much we have to spend are the people that run the club.
I mean,
Loan back ESM says Craig, for shits and giggles, they would lose their minds, wouldn't they? They've got a problem in Newcastle, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about
whichever clubs complain, PIF should buy them and liquidate them.
And the thing about our budget, and one of the reasons that we sold ASM, is though we're getting 35 million for him, they look at what his book value is, which will have gone down because he's been at the club a few years. We only paid, 16 million for him. Yeah. So his book value is going to be a fraction of that. So that comes off the transfer value. So we've got the majority of that goes against the buying power plus his wages, which is sort of like 9-10 million pounds. So it works out about sort of 30 odd million in spending room that we get. Well, I'm not an expert, but that's from something I read of how they do it. We'll get about sort of 30-40 million of extra spending space because we sold ASM, which is why they're doing it. I mean, the fair value is what one club will pay for it, and it's not like they're paying more than they are for other players that they've signed from England. They're paying more for Riyad Mahrez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's Riyad Mahrez above market value. Is that a problem? I mean, you'd pay more for Mahrez than you would for ASM. So if they've got it below Mahrez, what's the problem? It's just they don't want us to sell players. They don't want us to succeed.
Yeah, the latest player that's linked we're going to Saudi at the minute is Sadio Mane as well. Bias says, I've been in Saudi for work and it's pretty nice. Most of the towns are on the Red Sea, more modern than people think. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, when I had the King of Qatar, Roy Caviani, on a few weeks ago, we were having to talk backstage and he says it takes him about 6 hours to drive from Dubai back to Qatar. And he goes through Saudi and he says Saudi's actually quite a nice place. He says they've got a lovely big shopping centre there in Riyadh. He says you just see the women driving about in their cars, you know, windows down, things like that, music on. You know, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I would love to go and visit Saudi Arabia. I would love to go and visit Qatar. Yes, it's probably a little bit more expensive wise, but, you know, I wouldn't mind going there one day. But, you know, at the end of the day, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but, you know, I think Saudi Arabia are trying to make themselves a better country. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm all for that, you see. So, right, let's get into some comments anyway. Phil says, haven't seen a lot of Livramento, if I'm honest. He's a good is he a good defender or just a good attacking fullback? It's very rare to have both these days. I don't think he's bad at defending. He's pretty good at getting forward, though, that's for sure. He's quick, he's lightning, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a decent defender. He's still only young, only 20.
Yeah.
Did he play in the under 21 Euros?
Not this year, no, he didn't.
Yeah, I know he's just come back from an injury. I'm not particularly worried about the injury because cruise ship injuries aren't the career ender they used to be. There's so many players who had cruise ships and come back just as strong after the injury. Look at our Callum Wilson, who's had 2 of them. Alan Shearer came back. It takes a little bit of time to trust the knee. Once they do, they play like they did. It's not unless there's something gone wrong in the healing process, which will come out in the medical. It's just they get a long layoff. That's all. Especially someone young. So I don't have a problem with that. And cruise ship is an injury. Well, it happens more and more these days, but it is a freak sort of injury. It's basically it happens when you sort of like studs get caught or you turn a little bit too quickly. It's not like a hamstring where just by running you pull it. Something has got to go wrong for it to happen. Like most of them are when the studs get caught in the grass, or you get caught when your knees plant on the knee, when your knees planted, or a nasty tackle like that tends to do it. But it's not, and it's not a recurring injury like a hamstring. What if you like ASM? His explosive player is always getting these hamstring tears and pulls.
Yeah.
That becomes almost cyclical. Go a few games, then they pull it. Go a few games, and pull it. Cruise ships aren't like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniela says, how many players have Newcastle been connected with? By the way, last week I heard that West Ham have been connected with 90 players in this window. Wow. I don't know, Daniela, too many, to be honest with you. There's lots.
I mean, I was watching Chris Ray's show about it's about a month into the window, and he said we've been linked to 164 players. I'm sure it's more now. Wouldn't be surprised me if it's 200.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Craig says St. Max valued at 32 million on transfer market.
Yeah.
Well, if it's only 3 million more, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're crying over it. Sefton says, good afternoon, everyone. Brilliant news on we are getting ESM back on loan. We are getting the ESM back on loan. You wish, Sefton. Andrew says our own government trade with Saudi, so Prem haven't a leg to stand on. Absolutely.
Yeah. So until they stop trading, until they sanction Saudi Arabia, they've really got all it is they're moaning because they know how good we're going to be and how good we are now, and they don't like it.
Andrew says, good, we need a bench warmer, Sefton. Zero rule on the loan, it would wind the Premiership mind, says Sefton. Yes, it would. John says over 200 have been linked to the club now. Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? Daniela says, Craig, is that the problem? All in the knows what they do really know. Yeah, do you know what it is? These ITKs that they think they are, they don't know a lot, you know. Sean Casey's the biggest one out there who thinks he knows everything, and he keeps putting this stuff out. And the thing is, you know, the guy doesn't get anything right, you know. Maybe he should just keep himself quiet and stop putting out silly tweets, because we know fine well that, you know, he's one of the worst out there for ITKs because he ain't got a clue. You know, he's not an ITK. Let's be honest. He's not an ITK. He's what I call an IKFA. I know fuck all. That's what Sean Casey is. Andrew says, linked to 200 players. That's Chelsea's squad. Genuine Crybaby says, to an army, these are the clubs. Danielle says, I've decided not to believe anyone who be interested until the thought of them is with a shirt on. Absolutely, that's the best way, Daniela. Yeah. That's what I say all the time. You know, we've got the rumours, but until they've got that shirt on and they're holding a scarf above their head and they're at St. James's Park, that's when you know it's real. Like Harvey Barnes hasn't been announced yet.
Well,
rumours are he's in America, but it hasn't been announced yet.
We know that
be announced.
Yeah. We know that's real because he was at the training ground, actually at the club.
I do.
I think he'll be announced on Monday, because if you remember when they said, they'll release the announcement about Tonali over the weekend. It came on the Monday. So I bet it'll come on Monday.
Troll says no journals are in the know at all. Daniela says, love that. Thanks, Daniela. Yeah, I know a lot of people like that when I come up with the IKFA. I know fuck all, by the way, if anybody's just joined thinking, what's an IKFA? Would-be farmer, good afternoon, mate. He says maybe these in the nose are actually in the nuts, as they simply have bad typing skills. You know what? Some of them are terrible at it, aren't they? Absolutely. Howie the lad says we got 8 fullbacks. We don't need to get bent over for Tino or Liv unless we get rid of a few. Absolutely. Phil says, I'm sad to see Maxi go, but too many fans confused of what he's capable of to what he actually does on a consistent basis. I wish him all the best, but Harvey Barnes is a huge upgrade in my honest opinion. Absolutely, mate.
Wouldn't necessarily
Tsunami says,
right, but you, particularly on the goal side, he's a different type of player, and he'll produce more. It's in a way, it's a bit like comparing, let's say, Hatton Ben Arfa with Keith Gillespie, both good wingers, but they're totally different types of wingers. Ben Arfa was all skill, where Gillespie was pace. With only a little bit of trickery, but they both could do a good job. I think the reason for going after Barnes is we want to add more goals up front, and he will provide that.
Tsunami says, don't get me started on Sean Casey, Tony. He's not been to Newcastle game in his life. He lives in Ireland. Yeah, absolutely. And how are you, the lads? Hello, mate. He says, we'll miss Maxi, in my opinion. He was a totally different option. Yes, he was. And we will miss him. But, again, we'll just...
till the season gets going, we're winning consistently, and Harvey Barnes is scoring loads of goals, and then everyone will be happy. But he's a character, and he was the player that when he got the ball, he did get your bums on the edge of the seat, whether he did something brilliant or lost the ball. The expectation was there. He's a flair player. We love a flair player, so he was exciting to watch. But like a lot of flamboyant Frenchmen, can be infuriating as hell. I mean, you say that with Robert and Ben Arfa, and to a lesser extent, Ginola.
Yeah.
The Mavericks tend to be frustrating because when they're not on their game, they can be awful, but when on their game, they're like world beaters. Max is that sort of player.
Yeah.
You've got to take it. You take the good with the bad and hope that there's more good than bad.
Harvey says, would you say Gordon is similar to Barnes, but a few years behind? No, I think they're two different type of players. I really do.
I think Gordon's more versatile.
Direct. Yeah.
More versatile, can play more positions. I think it's a little bit quicker, but Barnes is quite quick. He beats people in a different way to Barnes. So.
Yeah. Troll says, I just hope Gordon can surpass Maxi, but still miss ESM. Yeah, absolutely. Would be Farmer says, 100% the Premier League clubs have an opportunity to capitalise on the Saudi situation. 100% are attempting to do so. Absolutely. Craig says, we didn't miss ESM last year. He only started 11. Wasn't integral to our 4th place finish. You're absolutely right. He didn't. He only started so many games.
Through injury and then not being able to get back in the team. Yeah. So, yeah.
Barnes on his way to the USA says, I mean, do you think Barnes will have anything to do in the... do you think Barnes will play in the first game, Roly?
No, I don't think so. I think it's too soon.
Yeah, yeah.
It's tomorrow night, isn't it?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be too soon. But I'd expect him to be involved probably in the last game because they've got to put him through the fitness regime, get him fit.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll be fit to a point, but he won't be Eddie Howe fit.
A striker is needed, says Howie the lads.
I don't think we'll get a striker this window.
Yeah, Daniela says they're also clueless as Gabby Agbonlahor, or Agbonlahor, if you want to call him that, on Talk Sport. Maxi totally unreliable, facts, says Andrew. Sefton says Karl Darlow leaning towards some move to Leeds despite the serious interest from Bournemouth. Yeah, I'm going to get into him in a minute.
As long as he
Gordon has the capability to be more like Isak than Barnes says would be for man. Let us hope. Could be, couldn't he? Craig says, can't wait to see Gordon and Barnes after a Howe pre-season. They'll cook next year. Yeah, Isak will as well because he'll definitely benefit from a full pre-season under Howe. Maxi started 12 games, says Howie the lad, still made 5 assists and scored 1. That's good going. Yeah, it's not bad at all, is it? It's just a shame we couldn't keep him fit more often, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Mighty Win, good afternoon, mate. He says, just saw last night that Barnes has scored more 1 to 2 pass goals than any player in the Premier League. Stats began with more players involved in the 1-2s. Watch first play and second. Okay. Sai, good afternoon. He says, Barnes is more consistent player than ESM, my opinion. As good as he was, it's a few and far between with ESM. Too many times on the treatment table. Right, okay. I'm going to bring this guy up. There's Karl Darlow. We know he's on standby, ready to come out of the USA and head back to England to seal a move. Now, the talks for Bournemouth have stalled. This is the latest at the moment as it stands this afternoon from per Lee Ryder of the Evening Chronicle. So talks between Newcastle and Bournemouth have stalled on Karl Darlow. They're not saying anything about the fee. What they're arguing over is Bournemouth don't want to pay the full $5 million. So I can see where they're coming from, not wanting to pay the full $5 million, but that's the price tag that's on his head. It could clear the way for Leeds United, but at the moment, Karl Darlow is actually in limbo. So unless Bournemouth decide, yes, we'll pay the money and we'll bring him in, this move to Bournemouth may not happen. So Karl Darlow could end up going to Leeds United maybe. But again, there's been no concrete offers yet for him. So we just have to wait and see on that one and see what develops from that. I mean, Roly, what's your thoughts, Karl Darlow? Bournemouth now not wanting to pay $5 million.
I think $5 million is a reasonable price for him. I know that. We bought keepers for a lot less. I mean, Dubravka was about that price, and it's a better keeper. But there's got inflation. Prices go up. You look at James Trafford now; he's going to be a tremendous keeper. But he's not Premier League experience, and Burnley played 19 million for him. So I think $5 million for a Premier League proven goalkeeper who's a very good shot stopper. It isn't extortionate.
Yeah.
And it all depends on what. Interesting to know what Bournemouth are offering to see how far apart they are. Is it
we don't know.
Are they offering 2 or something like that?
We don't know.
Yeah, I know.
There's no price being said. It just said they don't really want to pay the $5 million.
But there again, no one wants to pay the asking price for any player that they pay. I think that there's some deals that we're working on in and out, which might go down to the wire.
Yeah.
And I think the outgoings, players leaving the club, I think of the people that we want rid of, I think the closer you get to the end of the window, the more concentrated their minds are. And there'll be, I don't see anyone moving out. Darlow possibly soon, but I think there'll be at the end of August there'll be a flurry of players going out of the club. I think the type of player we've got that we're trying to move on, I think it will take longer to get rid of them.
Right, guys. Yeah, sorry, Roly. I just want to come in here. Right, I've just looked here, and you know how I was talking about Sean Casey earlier on, saying the guy talks a lot of bull crap, basically, which he does. 37 minutes ago, he actually put a tweet out, and this is laughable, really laughable. Again, he's an IKFA. An IKFA is Sean Casey. I know fuck all. Exactly, that's what you do know, Sean. Nothing. He just put Tino Livramento deal is back on, but it's back on to loan at Southampton after he completes his deal in Newcastle United. A lot of bull crap. There is no way we are paying over 30 million for his right back to send him back to Southampton on loan for the season. I don't believe it. That's a load of crap. Sean Casey, stop embarrassing yourself, mate, because you're doing yourself no favours. Thoughts on that, Roly?
The only way that there'll be a loan deal involving Livramento if it's a loan with an obligation to buy. It may be that we say, right, let's for example say Southampton want 40 million for him. We might do there's a potential to do is right, we'll give you 10 million now as a loan fee, and then we'll pay the 30 at the end of the season. So
he's on about us buying him, Roly, and
yeah, I know exactly what you said. He's saying we buy him and loan him back. I'm saying that the only loan deal that will happen will be him coming to us, and then with an obligation to buy. There's no chance in God's green earth that we're going to buy Livramento to send him out on loan back to Southampton, especially not at 30 million or 35 or whatever it is.
Just diluted, aren't they?
Yeah. But
and
the only way
I don't know where he's got his information from. Well, I know he's got his information probably off the back of a Kellogg's cornflake box.
Yeah. I mean, the only way if there's going to be a loan deal with Livramento is him coming to us on a loan with an obligation to buy. That's the only way Livramento is getting loaned. We're not going to buy him and send him back to Southampton.
Yeah,
especially at the price that any deal would be agreed on.
Or saying that, or he's got his information off the back of a bog door. More than likely. It's true though, Rory. It's true.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, absolutely. I don't trust these supposed in the nose because they don't know anything whatsoever. It's just absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? Guys, I've got 73 watching. Thank you very much. If you do like what you're saying, please do smash that like. And if you're new to the channel, then please do hit that subscribe as well. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, look, let's see what happens with the Karl Darlow situation. We'll just keep an eye on that one. We do need him gone, and I'm sure he'll go before the end of the window. It's just how long these hangers on will be staying here. That is the only problem. But again, I'm sure he will be gone in no time as well. Right. Quickly, what I'm going to do is just quickly nip back into the chat, just pick up on some comments here. And Craig says, Barnes is excellent finisher with either foot. He's massively underrated. He'll make so many eat their words next year. Yeah. Troll says, please for the love of God, play Isak as a striker. When he plays, he scored 10 from that position and none from left wing. Absolutely, yeah. Barnes is also 2-footed, something we wish Mickey was, says Phil. Yeah. If people don't like ESM, that's fine, but it's also fine to like him as well. Absolutely, yeah. It's everybody's opinions at the end of the day, trolls. The lads need rid of Darlow, Lewis, Dummett, Richie, Hendrick, Hayden, and one of the many fullbacks, maybe Lascelles. Look,
Richie and Dummett have signed new contracts, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. No, not at all. But I see what you mean. We are going to come on and talk about some of the hangers-ons. Craig says it's nothing to do with liking or disliking ESM. Barnes is a better player all round. There's no window dressing, just output. Absolutely. Dummett and Richie in the Champions League. Let's go, or maybe not. Richard says ESM saw me through the bad times, mate. We have a lot to thank him for. I also have no problem on him moving on from. Yeah, do you know what it is? Yeah, he did very well. I mean, look when he went to the toy shop in the Metro Centre and bought all the kids' toys. I mean, absolutely fantastic. The guy's got a heart of gold, and he was even giving his watches away, wasn't he, as well, to people. Andrew says, in the know is just a modern day name for Billy Bullshit. Absolutely. The Mighty Win says, agree, Howie the lads. I've been saying since the window, our number one priorities should be finishing striker who can shoot accurately from distance. We squander too many. Absolutely, we do. Craig says, Dummett and Richie being kept on for kind of spits in the face of the FFP claims. If we're so desperate to make the space and keep wages down, why keep them on? Yeah, absolutely. James says, Darlow's not worth 5 million. Remember what we paid for him? He's not even a Premier League proven keeper either. Dubravka ousted him after 5 months. Just take the hit, Tony. We need wages off the bill. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. We only paid 2.5 million for him.
We're not a charity. We don't give players away. We can't afford to be a charity. You have to negotiate. We have our price. Bournemouth will have their price. We come to an agreement somewhere in between. But I don't. I'm not a proponent of we need to just get rid. Let's cut our losses, pay them off, because that's defeats the object of getting. Right, you get them off the wage bill, but we're not a charity. We're not giving players away. People have got to pay fair market value for them.
James says, I think he got lost, Roly. He's loaning back to Southampton, won't loan him to us because they need the money now. And Newcastle can't loan him because he's part of Chelsea's sale. They own 30% of any sale.
I hadn't missed the point. I hadn't missed it. I know that's what you said. I said the only way that a loan would happen involving Livramento was him being loaned to us with an option to buy, obligation to buy. I'm not saying that's what we're going for. That's what I want. So that's the only way a loan is going to happen, because we're not going to loan him back to Southampton if we've got paid sort of 30 million plus for him.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what the thing is. I'm just saying that is the only possible loan that would happen. And it's not going to either.
Del Griffiths, good afternoon to you. He says, I don't believe any rumours till I see the player wearing the black and white shirt. Exactly everything every show I do, I always say that. These are just rumours. They are links. They are not saying the player is signing. The only way we know the sign is when they stand there with the black and white shirt on, holding a scarf above their head in St James's Park. Barnes isn't through the door until the club officially announce it. So I'm not classing him as a Newcastle player yet. He's still a Leicester player until Newcastle announce it. Would-be farmer says, ESM was brilliant when we are parking the bus. Now that we are driving it, Barnes is a better fit. Do you know what? You couldn't sum that up any better, mate.
But yeah, I think that's quite a good comment there.
Apparently Spurs is one of the clubs who went to the Premier League to have a laugh at Levy. I mean, look, that man is just an absolute bellend, Levy. He really is. And the thing is, as well, I saw a picture this afternoon I thought was really, really good, and I thought was brilliant. I don't know if he's a German journalist, by the way. I don't know who he is. It was just somebody shared the picture. But he's gone to the Tottenham press conference at the Tottenham Stadium, or wherever they are. I don't know. I think they're abroad, aren't they? But anyway, wherever they are, and he's got an FC Bayern Munich shirt, and it's got number 9 Kane on the back. Because apparently Harry Kane said he will not sign a new deal with Tottenham.
I mean, you talk about people moaning about fair value. No one moaned when Spurs paid 60 million for Richarlison.
Yeah.
At the beginning of last season. No one was worried about that.
Well, exactly. Scott says he sold Maxi for 65 million quid on FIFA career. Abu Shnat says, how long you guys think it'll be till we're loaning players from Saudi? I don't know, mate. I really don't. I don't think we will, because I think the Saudi league will want to build a league up. So I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. But it could happen in the future, but not the near future. Yeah. John says we won't be able to get rid of the Deadwood in one window. It'll take a good while before we have a super squad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
If we can get rid of 2 or 3 this window, I think that'll be an achievement.
Are we the lads charity giving Dummett and Richie money for now?
I think for Richie, his value, he can actually do a job on the field when needed, but it's his leadership behind the scenes and in training, which is one of the reasons that they want to keep him. Dummett, I think that's partly because he classes as homegrown club trained for the Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, can we get some candles for Saint-Maximin leave? Sorry, mate, but it's too much for... got no one missed. Roly, you have your price, then you can have them stuck on your books and cost Newcastle. I'm not sure what you mean by that, mate.
No.
Half the trouble is our Deadwood is shite. Nobody wants them. Previous owners effed up with the stupid contracts. Bell ends up. Well said, Andrew. Well said. Craig says, problem is the FAC controller, because I won't mention the man's name, gave these players big wages. They're not fit for the Prem, and Championship can't afford them. Absolutely, Craig. Spot on.
I think the problem with our Deadwood is that the teams that want them can't afford them, particularly the wages, and the players that can afford them don't want them.
How are the lads? Benzema on loan. You heard it here first in the know. Go and tell Sean Casey. Spurs can jog on. They should focus on their own club. Yeah, not even in Europe, are they?
Mm.
Bangkok's where Spurs are. Well, that's where he must be then. Our Craig says they're in Australia. Yeah, they were the other day, weren't they? Oh no, they are in Thailand. That's right, because Leicester flew out of Thailand. They're playing Spurs in the pre-season. Yeah, so they are. They're in Thailand. Craig, they're playing Perth during this week. My sister lives there. Yeah, I don't know if they've left Australia yet or not, but I know that Leicester flew out because they were seeing that if Harvey Barnes was going to be on the flight list, which obviously he's not now. We know that. And they've flown out to Thailand. So maybe it's next week they play Spurs in the pre-season friendly out there. I don't know when the exact date is. But maybe that's what it is. Yeah, Roly, Richarlison is young Brazilian and a striker. Darlow is 30, not played enough to have value. Signed for him. We signed him for $5 million.
I thought we signed him for about 1.5 from Forest, about 10
Two
years
and a half, because we got them both on for $5 million, didn't we? Both players.
Yeah, him and Lascelles. My point is, right, we've got to have a value for a desired price that we want, and we can't just be giving players away because that's not how football works. For one thing, every player has a value. The big problem we've got with our Deadwood is they're earning too much money, and no one's going to take that on. And why the players are under contract and they've got no obligation to take lower wages. That's the problem. It's not the actual valuation, but we can't be. You pay a player off if they've got 3 or 4 years contract, that still counts against FFP.
Yeah.
So we're between a rock and a hard place with these, because unless they're prepared to take less money so they can play and develop their careers, we're stuck, because the Championship. I think that if we hadn't had the lockdown for COVID and teams were still playing in front of full houses or the fans in the ground during the COVID era, championship clubs would be more willing to pay better wages than they are now, because they lost so much money during the pandemic. They really have to be tight with their spending, and the FFP rules in the Championship are a lot stricter than they are in the Premier League. And well, I don't blame them for not wanting to pay the wages. And it is the wages that is stopping these guys moving on. It's not potential transfer fees. With Bournemouth, we don't know what they're offering or how far apart the two sides are. But I don't think $5 million is an extortionate fee for Darlow. But we may, in an attempt to get him off the books, we may settle for less. But you've got to have a valuation to start the negotiation at. Right, we want $5 million for him. Bournemouth say we want to pay $1 million. Yeah, you've got a long way to go to get a deal done. But deals take time. It's very rare that you come in with an offer for any player and the club that you're making the offer to says yes straight away. It does happen from time. Or if there's a release clause, there's got to be a negotiation. There's no point going and thinking, right, we'll take 3.5 for him and coming in at 3.5, because someone will come in and say, if they want 3.5, we'll go in at 1 and see if we can get them down. So you got to. Every team's going to have a different value for a player, and at the end, if we want him to go and Bournemouth want him enough, we'll come to a deal. It's like you look at us with Harvey Barnes. We wanted to pay 28 for him. Leicester initially wanted 50, and then they came down to 40, and we've gone to 35 plus add-ons. It's a negotiation. You've got to start somewhere, and if you lowball your selling price, it's just going to drive you down, and you get even less.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's like Daniela says, the problem with Deadwood is calling them Deadwood. Once you do that with social media nowadays, everyone hears that and loses interest in them. Craig says if we loan them out, we'll have to pay a percentage of their wages. Absolutely.
Yeah, but you can't get rid of them. That's better than paying their full wages.
James says, Roly, if every player had a value, Arsenal would be bankrupt. They've not made a sale in 10 years. Pepe, They took a 70 million hit. Sanchez, 60 million hit. So you can just let players go.
You don't want to be seen as a club that does that. I mean, Arsenal do sell players. I mean, they're taking hits on bad deals that they've made. Sanchez took a hit because he was useless for them. But you've got to remember that Arsenal have a lot more revenue coming in and can afford to take bigger hits than we did. I mean, at the end of the day, the problem we've got is that the previous owner wasn't interested in generating commercial revenue because all he wanted the club was to advertise his Tatty Sports brand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we still can't give players away.
Craig says he'll take Fraser. He needs a new garden gnome. Daniela says Spurs were in Australia. They lost to a West Ham B team and youth sites on Tuesday. Can he fish, says Craig. I don't think Forest will buy from us again, says Craig. I don't think they will, Craig, no. Dell says 5 million's a lot for most championship clubs. Absolutely. That's why people can't pay that for Darlow. They can't afford it. Just on Sky, Southampton value Livramento at 40 million, says Pierre. Well, definitely walk away. Lewis says, good afternoon, lads. Apologise for the lateness. Do you think we could possibly walk away from this deal for Livramento? Do you know what? If it's 40 million, I'd say walk away. Sorry, but walk away. He's not worth it.
I don't think we'll walk away, but then again, I don't think we'll pay 40 million. I think this is potentially one that could go right down to the wire because we've come back in 3 times for him, so the club obviously want him. And it's as the season gets closer, people concentrate their minds. I don't think we're going to walk away from it yet. It may be that we can do a deal where it gets up like we're paying 38 for Barnes. Leicester wanted a lot more than that. And it's with add-ons. So maybe we can do a deal where we pay, let's say, 32, but we have add-ons to get it closer to the 40.
Yeah. Del Griffith says Newcastle agree a fee for 35 million incoming. Is that for Livramento, is it?
I'd have thought so.
BS Howie the lad says if that's the case, Dubravka's worth 50 million. Andrew says Newcastle can't afford to do what Arsenal do. Jesus Christ. We've got Paolo Galantio in the chat. Good afternoon, Paolo Galantio. Hendrick's worth 10 million, 79 international caps. Love the pitch.
Even I will laugh at that one.
Next to be Wilson, how we leave in the end.
I know you'd take $500,000 for him, but so Hendricks, the problem is the wages because he can do a job in the Championship, lower end of the Championship, League One, but no one's going to pay that sort of wages.
Mm-hmm. James says, Roly, the problem is we have not anyone on the players who put money before being a footballer, mate. You can't blame anyone but the players.
You can. The blame lies with the previous owner for putting on ridiculous wages. You can't blame the players if they're on a good contract and don't want to take less money. I wouldn't blame them for that at all because that's not their fault. They agreed to the deal they were offered. The problem for us is that if they don't want to take money, a drop in wages, we're not going to get rid of them. It's a hope that because they're not training, something like the likes of Hayden, Hendrick, and Fraser training with the kids. Maybe the fact that you thought their professional pride would want them to play first team football, and they know they're not going to do that in Newcastle. They might decide, well, I've had the gravy for the last few years at Newcastle. If I want to play competitively again, I need to swallow my pride and take less money. It's not as if they're going to be badly paid in the Championship. I mean, footballers aren't badly paid. Even footballers in sort of like League Two are paid. They're on sort of like 40 grand a year. which is like management level for a normal day job. So they're not badly paid, even if they are in the lower leagues.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to move on because before I get to the hangers-on side of the things, this guy, Nick Pope, he is back in training again. If you've seen any training videos, you'll see he's handling the ball, which looks really good. Whether he starts is another matter, but let's hope he's recovering strong from that finger surgery. So he may play a part in this US series, who knows? But again, we just got to make sure he's right because we don't want him ending back up in hospital and not starting the season. So that's good news that he's in training anyway. Right, talking about hangers on. Right, okay. So the first one I'm going to put on the screen, this man, hanger on over 60 grand a week. Newcastle offered to pay him 42 grand a week to pay his contract off. He refused it. I think for the sake of his career, what he needs to do is he needs to just move on and go, because take a pay cut, Ryan, go and enjoy your football elsewhere, because one, you'll want to get back in the Scotland team. And if Scotland make it to the Euros, you won't be going to the Euros because you won't be playing football, so you won't be able to get in that Scotland squad. So for the sake of your career and for the sake of us fans here and for Eddie Howe, just walk out that exit door, take a pay cut and bugger off. Your thoughts, Roly?
I want him out of the club. He's doing us no good. And the thing about it, at the age he is, if he goes somewhere, takes a pay cut, goes somewhere and performs, he might actually get another move where he gets paid close to what he's on at Newcastle. But it's a difficult one because there's no reason for him to take a wage cut, but that's the only way he's going to leave the club, because no one's going to pay him what he's on now. Apart
from the fat controller who decided it would be a good idea to sign him above everybody else and give him a huge wage and leave us in the ship when he left the club.
I think the only reason he got is on him and Hendrick are on the wages that they're on is because they were free transfers. I think if we'd had to pay a fee for them, they'd be on a lot less. And we might have a chance of getting rid of him.
Yeah. So that's one hanger-on that needs to go. The next one is him, Jeff Hendrick. He needs to go. I've always said I'll take $500,000 for him just to get shot of him. And I know you've said a few million, Roly, and still we don't know what you're on when you're asking about a few million. But
up to 2 million.
Look. The reason Burnley
we wouldn't at this present time. We couldn't sell him for $500,000 because no one will pay his wages. Right. There's a reason why Burnley let his contract run down and get rid. Yeah. Because he's crap. Because he's not good enough. That's why. Now, when a club like Burnley, who at the time were one of these clubs under Sean Dyche, just staying in the Premier League, just surviving every season, and now want to get rid of Jeff Hendrick, surely the alarm bells ring with you and you think, hang on a minute, there's a reason why they don't want Jeff Hendrick, because he ain't good enough. He's not a Premier League standard. And that's exactly why Burnley got rid of him. But no, our stupid owner, who we used to have in charge, who thankfully has left the club now, the fat controller, decides no. Hendrick, Irish international, on a free transfer. Yes, let's have him. Great player. The Irish Pirlo, let's bring him in. And deluded. That's exactly what he is, deluded. Yeah, and the manager at the time thought, I can improve him. I think it's not just Steve Bruce, but there are lots of managers who think that there's a player that's failing or doing badly at another club, think, I can get the best out of him, I can improve him. And most of them can't.
Yeah.
The problem with him and Fraser is their wages. Mm-hmm. Pure and simple. We won't I don't think anyone would pay $500,000 for Hendrick because of his wages. If they're on reasonable wages, we could get championship wages, reasonable championship wages. We could get 1 to 1.5 for him. I believe, because championship clubs will pay that, and if his wages were reasonable, I think they'd be takers. But his wages aren't reasonable. And as I said, for all the players that we've gone through, to him, and Fraser, the wages is the problem. They're on Premier League wages, and championship clubs won't pay that, and no one will want them in the Premier League because they're not good enough.
Yeah, absolutely, Roly. Daniela says, transfer news, Saudi are interested in West Ham's Antonio.
Yeah, I heard
that. Coffee, hi Tony, Roly and all. Good afternoon, Coffee. Why didn't the Saudis buy Fraser and leave us Maxi? Not good enough, is he? Fraser interested in playing football anymore. After what he did at Bournemouth, he should never have signed him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Eddie Howe gave him another chance. And what's he done? Shafted Eddie Howe again. So that's why he's now banished to the reserves. Biassi is Ashley Young scored for Everton, who beat Wigan 1-0. So the old man got off his Zimmer frame and scored. Is Ryan Fraser and the Irish Pirlo so bad that even the Saudi League aren't interested in them, says Coffee? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the thing about it is the Saudi League are actually interested in good players. So you look at the players that they're signing, they're either good players at the end of their career or decent players in the middle of their career. They're not going to buy shite.
James says, Hendrick, you'd be lucky to get £1, mate, he's shite. Jim Bourne.
Well, he's right in the Premier League, but there's a league that he could do a job in. But his wages, no one will pay him the wages he's on. We're stuck with him. Unless we get a loan deal like we did last season, loan him somewhere.
Mighty Win says, Disney are paying huge wages for Snow White remake. Fraser? He fit in well. Ronald says, nobody pay his wages. He's khaki and all. Absolutely. Phil says, Hendrick is 31. Going to get anything for him. No. Jeff Hendrick is stealing the living, says John Sinclair. Andrew says, Hendrick isn't fit to play for Crook Town. Holly says, I must say with the squad of players and the addition of Tonali and Madison and Harvey Barnes, we'll complete in the Champions League and maintain. We didn't get Madison, no, Holly. That's the problem. We didn't sign him, did we? If we'd had a signed Madison, then who knows? But, but we definitely haven't got Madison. He's at Spurs, Holly. Unless it's a typo error. Phil says, Hayden is just injury prone, which is unlucky. He's a decent player. Do you know what it is? Look, Isaac Hayden, I have a lot of respect for the guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I know the club are wanting to move him on, and he has had injury worries. Last season, he was on loan at Norwich, and he had a lot of injury problems, which is a shame. But look, a few years ago, Isaac Hayden was homesick. He wanted to be closer to home. He was offered to West Brom. Eventually, he didn't take the move, and he stayed in Newcastle. And do you know what? I applaud him for that. Because a lot of players would just say, do you know what? I'm gone. Bye. But not Isaac Hayden. He stayed and it was absolutely brilliant.
I think his daughter was ill and they were still in the south. And he stayed on and he was a consummate professional. I have so much appreciation for what he did and as a player and a professional. He's got the utmost respect. And I think the club have that respect for him by obviously giving them the chance to go to Norwich. Unfortunately, they didn't get so the obligation to buy wasn't triggered. Yeah. He just had so many injuries last season. But if he's fit, he could do a job for like a Luton Town, a bottom of the Premier League team, or a Championship side.
Yeah. Mighty Win says, be honest, would any of us voluntarily give up huge wages, which we know we weren't worth? I know I wouldn't.
Yeah,
that's true enough.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the big problem we've got.
Yeah, but these have got millions in the bank. They can afford it.
Yeah, but
Saudi are in for Jeff Hendrick, apparently. A load of shit want him. Fraser can join Willy Wonka FC. back up to Oompa Loompa, says Coffee. Andrew says, you mean Willy Wonka? Paula Galantia. Hello, Paula. She says, Ryan Fraser's worth 10 million, 26 international caps.
Wow.
That name. No, it's not the football. No, it's not the footballer's fault. No, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's not their fault they can't play properly. I mean, look, they're saying if we sign Livramento, this man would probably be next going out the club, Javier Manquillo. Look, we're signing him for 4.3 million from Atletico Madrid. He's done a decent job for us. He can play right back and left back. He's got under a year left on his contract. I mean, look, there's clubs abroad, clubs in the Premier League looking at him as well. I think the time's right to cash in on Manquillo, by the way, and I think he could command a fee of about 5 million quid still, because he's still decent enough, because he's versatile as well. What's your thoughts, Roly?
I agree with you. He's done a decent job for us. He's versatile. I'd like to get in that region for him, but with him being in the last year of his contract, I think it'll be a lot less than that. We'll have to see. There's talk that he wants to go back to Spain. I mean, I think that he would be the one to move on. Livramento, and would thank him for everything he's done. It's not been a good player for us. Not the greatest right back in the league, but he's nowhere near the worst.
Ronald says, Howie, though, to be fair, Fraser and Hendrick would walk into Sunderland's team, says Ronald. Phil says, what did Fraser do to fall out with Eddie? There was a fallout with Bournemouth with Eddie Howe. And what it come down to was, it was when Project Restart came about again, because of the, when the COVID crisis hit and everything got suspended and stopped. What happened was, when they did go to restart, players who were going out of contract could sign a temporary 6-week contract or 9-week contract. And what they could do is, it was just a temporary contract just so they could play the last few remaining games, because then they weren't out of contract. And a lot of players did sign these contracts. Ryan Fraser refused point blank. I'm not signing a new deal at Bournemouth, not even for 9 weeks. And so that there was that fallout with Eddie Howe. He could have stayed. He might have helped keep Bournemouth in the Premier League, because at the time he was really hot property. He had a great season, but he didn't decide. He did say he wasn't signing that 9-week extension, which I found rather ridiculous. And that's where the fallout came about. And then obviously he got a second chance here, and he's just pissed that up the wall as well.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I can say on that anyway. What's your thoughts, Roly?
Yeah, that wasn't great what he did at Bournemouth.
No.
He's given a chance, and obviously when he got sent to the under-21s, Eddie said, I only want to spend my time with players that are dedicated to Newcastle. So he's got an attitude problem, and Eddie obviously felt that he might disrupt the harmony in the squad, so it's sent out of it. We want to get rid.
Yeah, absolutely, Roly, absolutely. I'm going to go into some. I'll just go into some comments in a minute. Right. Okay. Rather sell Lewis than Manquillo, says, how are you, the lads? We'll talk about Lewis now. There he is on screen. Jamal Lewis. It has come out today that not only Watford are interested in having him on loan, but Swansea are wanting him as well on loan. So this is interesting. Do you know what? If he goes to a championship club, I think he could get his career back on track and he would do well for somebody in the championship. But I don't think he is. But I certainly don't think he is Premier League standard, though. He was for Norwich. He played really well, but he has been hampered by a lot of injuries. But I think if he goes back to the Championship on loan, I think it'll do him the world of good, and it would certainly help him out. That's for sure. So yeah, I mean, look, what's your thoughts on that, Roly? Maybe Lewis going to Swansea on loan now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's young enough to resurrect his career. He's been blighted with injuries since he's been at Newcastle. There's glimpses of a good player in there, but couldn't stay fit. It wouldn't be a bad move to go to somewhere like Swansea, a Championship side that's challenging at the top, and see if he can get his career back. It's the sort of thing, if he's on loan and has a good season, it's a case that he'll come back and then we'll reassess him next season. Move him on if we need to move him on. If he's made significant progress, you might keep him. It's one of those ones that I feel a bit sorry for the guy because of the injuries he's had. So he's never really got his career going at Newcastle.
Yeah. Fraser let his contract go and refused to. Yeah, absolutely, James. Howe said in his press conference, I made the decision to concentrate on the players that are committed to Newcastle and for the benefit of the group. I made that call. Yeah, absolutely. Fraser's a Napoleon complex. Howie the lad says, watched a bit of Watford Palace before they are bad. Yeah, absolutely. Fraser refused to come on for Newcastle against Bournemouth, and that was it for him. Don't want to slow them players out. We need to get rid of them. Yeah, absolutely, we do. We need rid of the players as well. That's the thing. So again, it is what it is. We just have to wait and see on these outgoings, whether they come about or not. But in terms of deals and things like that, we just have to wait and see what happens with the Livramento. I mean, this is going to rumble on. But again, we just have to wait and see. I mean, I did see an interesting article earlier about a player that we were going to get last year. Remember Hugo Ekiteke, who we were supposed to be bringing in, and his agent decided PSG would be a better fit for him. Well, now he's on his way out of PSG, and he's going to be in limbo because who wants him? And maybe the lad's regretting it now. Maybe he's looking back and thinking, I wished I'd gone to Newcastle now because, I could have made it there. PSG, yes, I can see why his agent wanted him there, PSG and all the lights and, getting him out, but and getting him there. But he's hardly played. The lad's hardly played for PSG. He's wasted his career going there. So wherever he goes next, hopefully he'll get his career back on track. But, PSG is really back from him. Yeah, he is young, but we don't want him.
I think the problem is that he went with a loan with an obligation to buy, and they don't want him, so they're going to try. I don't think because of what he wasn't able to do at PSG, I don't think anyone's going to pay what PSG want for him. So he's in limbo.
Phil says Lewis looks like he's got no confidence. So different the player, so Norwich. Yeah, Howie the lad says should have got Max Aarons from Norwich, not Lewis. Sefton says, people are talking about buying our third top. I'm still paying off for my first one. Does anyone know where Garant Kwal is? I don't know, Craig. I'm not sure, mate. I mean, look, he's probably back with the development squad in all honesty, and probably they're going to sort out a loan deal. But let's hope wherever he goes on loan, he gets game time and not just sat on the bench. Coffee says, I guess Lewis looking out of place is also a sign of how far our team have grown since the takeover. Yeah.
I was going to say send him to the Belgian League.
Hi, lads. Hi, Cenk. Hope you're well, mate. Phil says he looked out of place when he signed. Yeah. Mighty Win says, 80 watching, only 41 likes. How are you, lads? Drop out if the chat is for 2 seconds to hit that like, and then back in the chat. You're missing out. It means a lot. Thank you very much indeed, the Mighty Win. Thank you. Yeah, and if you are brand new to the channel, then do hit that subscribe. It is free to do so, and that bell notification as well tells you when I'm live, have a pre-record or any upcoming shows as well. So thank you very much indeed to everybody so far. So yeah, so I mean, look, we've looked at them, and like I say, the ESM, we know he's got a medical booked. Fabrizio Romano mentioned it yesterday. There is a medical booked for ESM, but his medical won't happen until they've completed the deal for Riyad Mahrez from Manchester City. So Maxi isn't getting his medical till probably next week. Apparently, he said goodbye to fans when he left the training ground on Thursday. And I'm sure he's going to put out we'll see probably an emotional statement from Maxi when he does finally leave and sign for Al Ahly in Saudi. And yeah, as I say, we can't see he's a legend, but we can see he was a fan favourite, a cult hero maybe. But, he did what he had to do in a bad team under a bad manager who was a dinosaur with dinosaur tactics. The club's ambition at the time was to finish 17th place, remain in the Premier League. Didn't matter if they finished fourth bottom, 1 point above the relegation zone, as long as they were in that Premier League. And the fact controller was filling his pockets with all the TV money. But as the team's evolving now, and evolution, when you've got that, sometimes you've got to make these hard decisions, and sometimes players do have to move on. And in this case, Maxi has to move on. But you know what? We wish him the best luck. And I look forward to seeing him in the Saudi League and see how he actually gets on and follow his progress, like everybody else will probably do as well.
Because we'll have a similar situation next season where we'll sell someone that's quite popular for a decent fee to help FFP whilst we're still getting because we're light years behind the other top clubs on commercial revenue. And it's like our shirt deal with Castor is only worth 5 million, when Man United is worth 60. We're light years behind them, so there'll be more. I think that as we build the squad next year, maybe Miggy or Callum will get sold. One of those, I reckon. Because you'll be able to get a decent fee for them, and that will help build a younger, stronger squad.
Yeah, definitely, Roly, definitely. James says, honestly, Tony, I think Garang Kual was a non-risk signing. He's not really played football. He was signed off a one-off game. He's been a sub all his career. I mean, yeah, but he's still only young. He's only 18, 19, isn't he? So he's going to get better, the lad. Got to give the lad a chance. And I think he needs to go on loan somewhere just to get some minutes. And I think the Championship would be absolutely fantastic for him to go to, because it is a hard league, but it would help him in English football. I think the move to Hearts was a poor move by the club, in all honesty. I think it was Shul Ramiobi who got him to Hearts. I think it was a poor move. So I think this season he needs to go on loan Championship maybe.
I'm not in that total agreement with you on the move to Hearts, because when he's at South Coast Mariner, he's only a sub, so you can't expect him to go to a different league and start all the games. Right, we would have liked him to play more games than he actually did and be involved more, but I think it's a bit much expecting him to start or play a lot more, so considerably more than he did. I think part of it was acclimatizing to a British style of football and training with different methods than they did back in Australia. It wasn't useless, but it wasn't as good as it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark says, see how go next season, Callum Wilson. I think next summer will be Miggy and Wilson as age and value. Do you know what? Yeah. That's not a bad shout, and I wouldn't be surprised them to go to Saudi next summer.
Yeah. And Fabian Schär is another one that might
yeah. Mikey Wynn says, Wallace told me last night that it was time I made a hard decision. We know what you mean with that one, Mikey Wynn. However, the lad says, sell Miggy now, he's stuck as high, he's 30 in Feb. I will need to keep him.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe for sale. What's your thoughts, guys? Says Singh. Do you know what? It's surprising. But again, if he's plotting to move to Real Madrid next season and not signing a new deal, he's going to go there for free. So, I think PSG have pulled a masterstroke. He's not gone on tour with them, and they've said he's got to look for a new club now, and they want to sell him, which is fair enough. But even if our FFP was absolutely brilliant and we could afford him, I wouldn't want him at our club. And I'll tell you why, because his attitude isn't right. And if his attitude isn't right, he doesn't fit into the dressing room, then I can't see him coming. So, I mean, look, whoever gets him, let's be honest, he is a fantastic player. He's a great player. We've seen that in the World Cup. But again, I don't know how much they'll get from him, but they should get top dollar for this guy. How are you, the lad? Says, Shola hasn't got a clue. Just got the job because he's Shola.
Well, you say that. He sent Mentor to Feyenoord, and he seems to be doing really well there. So, maybe it's just he needed more direction.
Yeah.
Now we've got Ashworth in, and he's worked under him for a while. Maybe that will happen.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? All right, Tony and Roly says, good afternoon, Lee. Hope you're well. James says, see, Minty, he was a proper money sign. Now I can see him making us money. Even if he doesn't make it, they'll be like Chelsea. A sell-on value will rise at Feyenoord. Yeah, he's on loan at Feyenoord. I mean, look, he's doing all right at the moment. Mighty Win says, 2 Aussies were already at heart, so it made sense, but I'm still unsure about Sholahan and loans. Only Elliott really worked up to now. Yeah, absolutely. Minty will be useful in the future. I've never seen anyone as quick. Yeah, absolutely. Mbappe is the French Ryan Fraser. says Bia. Pauletto Galan says, change your name again. Garant Qual worth 10 million. 5 international caps. David says, afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, David. Hope you're well. He says, yeah, totally agree. I couldn't think of anything worse than Mbappe. His attitude stinks and would destroy everything we've created. He definitely goes against our no dickhead policy. Absolutely well said. However, the lad says, Feyenoord were the club we were vying for Minty. It was probably part of the negotiations, yeah. There'll be no players left from him next season. Yeah, that era, yeah, definitely. Roly Ashworth sent him to Feyenoord, not Amiobi. Ashworth was there when he signed up to Feyenoord. Okay. Right, guys and girls, we're coming towards the end of the show, but it's been a great show. And, as always, the chat's been absolutely fantastic, as always. Roly, do you want to let people know where they can find you on your socials, mate?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Pol67.
Lovely, thank you very much. So everybody give Roly a follow and he'll give you a follow back. If you've enjoyed what you see, then please don't forget to smash that like on your way out today, and that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Helps to keep the channel up the search and means people find it easier. Also, if you're brand new at the channel, please do hit the subscribe. It's free to do so. Helps the channel grow, and that bell notification will tell you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming shows. So I'm currently on 916 subscribers, so thank you very much. On the way to 1,000 now, just 84 more away. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed so far. It really is appreciated. You can find me on Twitter at TonyTooney31. If you follow me there, I'll follow you back. The same handle on Twitch as well. On Facebook, it's All Black and White TV. So if you click in to join there, I will get your request and I will let you in. And also on Threads, I am on It's All Black and White TV. So you can follow me on Threads as well. The only problem with Threads is it needs a DM button, but hopefully that'll come in time. So yeah, we'll see what happens on that one. And we'll just go into a few last comments as well. When will Newcastle think about a young striker for the future to replace Wilson, because we only have Isak?
Well,
yeah,
Isak,
that's a thing.
Don't forget, Isak's only 22. And can play in the middle as well. So the need isn't so desperate. But yeah, I think I don't think we'll get a striker this window. I think it's likely to be the next summer.
Right, you win. Don't let anyone fool you. Mbappe is a proper player and can play anyway. Yeah, absolutely he is. But
No one's
It's just his attitude. I've just joined, says David. You'll have to go back and watch it from the start, mate. Sefton says, wishes luck, barbecue, auf Wiedersehen all. Well, definitely not barbecue weather. Yeah, Sefton, it's absolutely pissing down. Ciao for now, says how are the lads. Ciao to you, mate. Everyone as well. See you later. See you later, Phil. Thanks, Paul. Another excellent show, lads. Well done. Thanks very much, Paul. Bye, Tony Roly Knowles says coffee. Bye-bye, coffee. Young striker for the future, Kuala Minty. Yeah. Paula Galantia says, enjoy the enjoyable show. Thank you very much indeed. And Jan says hi. Hi, Jan. Sorry you've just come in at the end of the show, mate, but you can't go back to the start and catch up. So thank you very much indeed. So as I say, tomorrow night, I will be back at 10:30 at night. Yes, at night. 10:30 p.m., 10:30 p.m. with the build-up to the match over in the States. And so do join me for that one against Aston Villa. And then after I've been on with my pre-match show, you can hop over to Toon Review, who are doing the watch-along, couldn't get my words out there, the watch-along. And Paul will be burning the midnight oil there as well. So you can catch him for the watch-along. But I may come back with a daytime show as well tomorrow, so do keep an eye out for that as well. If you've hit that bell, you will be notified. But remember, the future's bright. The future is definitely black and white. It's bye-bye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
How are you, the lads?